All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. And purpose of tonight is to, sorry, I have like a bubble in my throat. Purpose of tonight is to talk you guys through how to use Asana. If you're looking for a tracking system and what you're using now isn't working, and you're just looking for something different and better. So I tried just the whole pen and paper thing for a while, and I found it was really difficult to remember, like, to go back and like try to reach out to people because I have these like big lists and like a big file, or like a big notebook filled with pages of people's names, and it was just like a big mess, and I couldn't keep up with it, so I would just stop. And then I tried Google Streak for a while, and I just wasn't in love with it. So now I feel like I finally have a system in place that does involve partially pen and paper, but partially involves using Asana. Asana is asana.com. It is free. There is a version to upgrade to paid, but I've found that the free version is perfectly fine. I honestly don't even know like what the additional features are to pay for it. So you can totally use this resource for free. So what I've been doing is a combination of I now made this into my daily 50 connections. And I think I shared this in the Team Cup group a while back, but it was my daily 30. I can share this again if anybody wants to use this. But I changed it because of I'm doing another training, Josh Code's training, where we're encouraged to add 10 people to our network a day, start 20 new conversations a day, and invite at least 10 people a day. So that adds up to a lot more people than what I was talking to before. So it just includes those things. And this I really just use to make sure that I'm hitting those numbers every day. So I'll write everything on here first, and then I'll actually go into Asana and add them in there and tag them the way that I need them to be tagged. So let me share my screen and show you what Asana looks like. I'll kind of walk you through how to get this set up. Okay, so when you first go in here, it's going to be blank. Obviously, you're not going to see all this stuff. Now, there's a couple ways you can go about this. You could actually create projects. I personally found that it was easier just to start by adding tasks, and then you can actually add them to projects as you're going, and it'll save that project, and then they end up all showing up over here on the left. So you could later on go in and say, well, I want to see all the people that I added to my network, or I invited to add to my network, but they didn't respond. Or I'm going to go back and touch base with all the people that I contacted one time and they never responded. So you could break it down, and you can see a couple of the groups I have set up here. Like I'm specifically trying to target UK people for our launch in October, and I have ads running targeting the UK market. So I have these people tagged in this project. That way I can actually go in there and say, all right, who are all my UK prospects as we're getting closer? Who should I be reaching out to talk about, what's going on and the opportunity that they have. All right. And the other thing you can do is actually tag them as far as like the groups that they're in. So if you're running free groups, you can tag them. I just started a couple here. And that way, when you go back later to look them up in here, you could say, oh yeah, they were in this free group and this free group. Because I totally lose track of that stuff over time. And then I do things like, if they're already a challenger, I mark them as such, or if they're prospect to be a challenger, I mark them as such. If they're prospect to be a coach. Now you can also add your coaches in here and set reminders for you to reach out to them one-on-one on a weekly basis. I think that's definitely a good practice because I know I've been really crappy about that as well. All right, so let me walk you through how I set this up. So the first thing that I'm doing when I'm clicking on add task, it's going to, allow you to put in a person's name. So I'm just going to say, let's say I have a Jane Doe and she liked a video that from an ad I was running, but she didn't like my page. So I go in there and I invite her to like my page. So at first, all I'm doing is entering her name, and then I click on add to project, and this is where you can type in whatever you want to start, and then it's going to remember it going forward. So I would just say added to network, and that's it. Now, if let's say I get a notification the next day that she accepted my invite to like my page, then I'm going to go back into her again. And by the way, you can go up here to the top and actually search for someone. So I can look her up here and make sure that I'm going back to the right contact. All right, so if she actually accepted my request to like the page, now I'm clicking this little like button. Okay, it just reminds that they are following my page. Okay, and then the next step is to actually message this person. So I usually wait like a day. I don't want to like seem like I'm really creeping and like I'm on social media 24/7, even though I kind of am. But I usually wait a day, and then I'll go back in here and I'll actually message her. And then, so what I'll do at that point is I change this to now say first contact. Okay, so that reminds me that I sent her an initial message. And I have a script that I use, and I encourage you to have one that you use as well, that works well for you and is in your, the way that you would speak. Okay, now there's other things that you can do. So what I do right away after I send that first message is I schedule a due date. So the first time I'll give it a few days. So if I message them today on a Thursday, I'm just going to schedule a due date for Sunday or Monday, usually like 3 to 4 days. I'm going to say Monday because Sundays I don't usually do a lot of follow-ups. That way, when I come in here, well, first of all, Asana will send you an email to let you know when you have tasks due, which I love because it's like, oh yeah, I need to go on there and do that. You don't have to like remember to log in. You're going to get an email sent to you. And then you can go to your inbox here at the top and see all the tasks that you have that are due. And this is going to remind me then to send her a second message if she didn't respond. Now, if she responds, then I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to add some notes in the bottom. Like, let's just say I found out that she is from New York and she has 2 kids, ages 4 and 6, married. All right, whatever, she responded back in the first couple of messages, I'll put that in here. All right, so if she does respond back, then I'm going to change this to convo started, right? Now, once I get her to that point, I'm going to go up here again and change this now that I've started speaking to her. I may put this out a couple more days just to let the conversation like naturally flow. And then that way, if the conversation drops or she like doesn't answer a question and a few days go by, it's a reminder for me to message her again, just be like, oh, hey, sorry, we lost touch. Did you see my last message or whatever? Okay. Now let's say she didn't respond to the first message. Let me change this back. All right. And Monday comes along. Now I have a script that I use for the second message that is a little more personalized, where I actually go on their page and I try to pick out something I can connect with and ask them a question about. And I say something like, hey, I'm sorry, we haven't been able to connect. It's totally cool if you don't want to chat, but I just really liked the vibe of your page. And I thought it would be, I always like making new connections. So I thought it'd be, cool to chat. And then I just, ask them a question about something on their page. Oh, by the way, I saw your cover photo. Are those your 2 kids? They're so cute. Something like that. All right. So that would be my second message. So then I would change this to second contact. Now, After the second contact, I kind of push it a little bit further. I usually make it at least a week. Now, I typically do my follow-ups on Fridays, so I might actually extend this one a little further and say, I'm going to wait till the 15th to reach out to this person again. And I've actually had some recently where after the third time I sent them a message, they actually responded and they were like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I saw your messages, and every time I thought about, messaging you back, I got distracted, by such and such." So this is why I'm saying, like, this is awesome, because all these people that you like just think they're being rude and they're not answering you, or they don't want to talk to you. A lot of times, we're also distracted by like everything going on in our life. A lot of times they just get sidetracked and they forget to come back to the message. So don't discount people just because they don't respond the first time. Okay, I've started a lot of really awesome conversations from second contacts, and now I'm on to some third contacts, and I've had some responses. So definitely a really good thing. All right. So let's say after the second contact, we do start talking. So I'm going to change this to convo, start it again. And by the way, you can see that this tracks every time you change a status. So it's awesome because then you can like have a record here of when you talk to them first. And, it's just a great reference point without you having to take any notes and writing stuff down. It's all in the system. All right. Okay, so let's say we're talking and we get into discussion of, by the way, when you write any notes in here, you want to make sure that you hit comment so it actually posts it. But it actually won't delete it. Like if you just write it in here and you forget to hit comment, I've come back sometimes and be like, oh yeah, I never hit comment. That was from like 4 days ago. And the message is still there. It just didn't post into this little thread. But make sure you do that because I can't guarantee you that it's gonna stay. All right, so let's say we went into some conversation about why they decided to like my page, what they're struggling with, what their goals are, and that sort of thing. So I'll write all that in here. So let's say she's looking to lose 30 pounds and struggles with planning healthy meals. And I usually ask them, I cannot spell. I usually ask them, what are some things that have worked for you in the past? So a lot of times they'll go into like programs that they did or that they used to go to the gym. I don't know, it's just a good way to get like a background on kind of what recommendations would be good for them. Like if they say, well, when I used to run a lot, I found more motivation. So maybe a cardio workout is a better idea for that type of person. But just do a little digging, all right? And make sure you put those notes in here. And more importantly, remember to ask why. So they tell you they want to lose 30 pounds. Ask them, well, how'd you come up with that number? Why 30 pounds? Why is that important to you? All right, so let's say she comes back and says, she wants to lose weight so she can keep up with her kids. Okay, so, obviously that's something you can come back to later on if you ever have any objections when you get into talking about challenge packs. You can come back to, well, when we talked before, you said that the reason you wanted to lose this weight is so that you could be around longer and be healthier and be stronger to play with your kids. All right, so I'm going to save that. All right, so let's say we're going back and forth, and I have invited her to a free group because it's always where I try to start, either a free group or a webinar on coaching. So let's say that we ended up, I'm going to add a second project. So if you want to add a second one, you click the plus button. You can see some of mine have more than one group that they're in, especially if, like, let's say I find out, well, I already said she's from New York, but If she were from the UK, then I would put that as a second tag. All right. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to delete that. All right. So let's say she is going to be in my free group. And you can actually name the free group here. For this example, I'm just going to put free group participant. That way, and this is key too, because I used to just like track this in my notes on my phone, and it's just a complete disaster to like go back in there. And sometimes I would miss people, and then I would feel really bad that like I told them they could be in my free group and I forgot to add them later. But like when you go to actually set up your free group, then you can go back. So I'll use my coconut oil one and click on that tag. Hold on. Okay. And click on that tag and you can see all the people that have that tag. So now that I can just pull up this list and go to my Facebook group and add all of these people from this list. Okay. Super, super easy. All right. So let me go back to my tasks again. Click on Jane Doe. All right. And you can take more notes in here too as you're developing a relationship with this person. Anything you think is significant for you to remember. That way you're not always having to scroll back through your messenger with them to remember who they are and you know what your conversation was. It's all going to be right in here. Okay. So what I do, so if they're in the free group, let's say this free group was running from September 11th to September 15th. I'm going to change the due date then to the 16th. So I remember, and I'm getting a reminder to reach out to her at the end of the free group to say, hey, what did you think about the free group? Comment something about, you know, how they did, if they had a high level of energy, you know, I really thought that was great. And then, you know, invite them to the next level and say something like, well, I was wondering, you know, you did such a great job in this free group, and I don't want you to stop because, you know, you've developed these healthy habits over the last week, and, you know, you should totally keep going because you had some results already. You know, would you be at all interested in kicking it up a notch? And, you know, if they respond back, well, sure, what does that mean? You know, I usually say something like, well, we actually have two options. You can advance on to our pay group, which is a little bit more involved and gives you a little more one-on-one with me as your coach. Or you could even learn a little bit about what I do and see if it's something that you would like to do. So I'm giving them the option of, you know, being a challenger or being a coach and learning more about it. So at that point, based on the conversation, I may again add another tag and I may say that this person has now become a challenger prospect. All right, again, this is just a reminder for me. So let's say in talking, we're talking about the challenge pack a little bit and what all is involved. And I send her a link. Now, I'll probably comment down here and actually write in the exact link that I sent to what challenge pack with what Shakeology, just so I remember. And then I would change this again to just a couple of days out because I want to give the person a little bit of time to click on the link and go purchase, but you don't want to forget about them. So I'll give her a few days. I'll say, okay, on the 19th now, I'm going to come back to her and say, hey, did you get a chance to check out the link I sent you a few days ago? All right, so do you guys see how this can be such an amazing tracking tool? Like, I cannot remember all of this stuff in my head, and like trying to figure out a system of to write this all down on paper was not working. And the Google Streak, I can see I can work for some people, but it wasn't working for me because I didn't have this reminder piece built in where I was getting emails and I can set like due dates and things like that. But this is like super easy in my opinion. Trying to think if there's any. I recently had one where I sent a third message, and in my third message, I'm saying something to the effect of, hey, really sorry we haven't been able to connect. Are you just really busy, or would you prefer that I take you off my contact list? Well, I did actually have someone respond back and say, yeah, I'm just not interested in whatever you're trying to talk to me about. I prefer you take me off your contact list. It's fine, no big deal. I'm not going to waste my time anymore on that person. They're not even open to talking to me about anything, not even related to fitness. So you can go up here to this little three dot for more actions, and you can delete the task then, because I don't need them in here anymore if they're not open to even talking to me as a human being. They're probably not going to be open to anything else. All right. The other thing is sometimes I accidentally have the same person in here twice, and I find out later. You can actually merge tasks together. So if you end up having two Jane Does, but you realize it's the same person, you can merge them together into one thing. So, but I know if it's a new contact that they're already in here, or they're not already in here, I should say. But every once in a while, I'll get someone that messages me that before I was tracking. I don't know. I don't know how I got duplicates, but somehow I did. But you can always search at the top if you're not sure if you have that person in there already. All right. So that's how I use it. I use the paper tracking sheet. I put everything on there first, and then I come in here and just add them all in a row. And when as I'm doing follow-ups and answering messages from the day before, I come in here and just search for them and then add my notes in. All right, so it makes it super easy to do power hours if I just kind of keep those two tasks separate rather than write it down on a paper and then come in and then write it down and then come in and write it down and then come in. It's a lot easier for me if I just do all of the paper first and then enter everything in here afterwards. All right, so I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. If you have any questions, you guys can message me. But I think it's super easy. Now, the other thing is you can actually invite other people to have access to your Asana account. I think, as we get a little bit further in our businesses, if you're looking to delegate some responsibility to team members, that's a really good option where they can actually come in here and, do tasks for you as well. But really good stuff. So that's all I have for you. Let me move my head out of the way. Like I said, if you guys have any questions at all, feel free to message me and I will help you walk through everything. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great night. Take care.